listeners, to another episode of Shooting Rabbits in a Barrel, a podcast brought to you by Scarecrow Consultants. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Tim Breakspear. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Tim, so I think I met you for the first time, or remember meeting you for the first time at ASEC in Ashford this year. We had a brief little chat. I believe you were voluntold you had to do this by one Professor John Holt.
Very much so.
Yeah, so thank you for being here, despite being voluntold. Could you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Absolutely. So, yeah, Tim Breakspear. I'm a systems engineer. I've been a systems engineer probably all my life, to be brutally honest. But I've been working sort of in the industry for 20 plus years now. I've worked a lot of defence and aerospace, so done a lot of cockpit design, cockpit displays, safety critical devices, all sorts of stuff with ships and tanks and the normal defence stuff. But I've had a couple of side quests. I've gone and worked at Dyson for 18 months designing hair dryers and discovering that hair science is a real thing, which surprised me. I thought it was just marketing, but it's real. And then another one looking at mining vehicles. So avatar level mining trucks and converting them over to electric and 3 kilometre long trains, etc. So I've knocked around a few different places doing quite a bit and had a varied amount of experience in lots of different industries.
For sure. Well, I'm excited. I want to ask you about 50 different questions already, but I won't. We will maybe come back to those. Excellent. Very exciting. Okay. To remind our listeners, we ask our guests 2 questions. What story would you like to share with us today, and what valuable systems engineering lesson did you learn? So, Tim, what story would you like to share with us today?
So I'm going to take everybody back to Christmas 2015, where I managed to, very, very luckily, spend 3 weeks in South Africa on a holiday over the Christmas time. A friend of mine was down at a big cat breeding centre down in South Africa, so I got to go and visit them for 3 weeks, and I learned an awful lot about big cats. So they have all 5 of the big cats there, so tigers, lions, cheetahs, jaguars and leopards. And part of my role there was as a sort of volunteer helper was to ingest an awful lot of information about the big cats so that I could give tours around this facility talking about the different facts and figures about lions and jaguars and things like that as we wander around. There was over 250 big cats on site, which is quite a lot. It's quite exciting in the evening when all the lions decide to have a big roar off between themselves. It's quite loud. It's quite good fun. And I learned lots of different things around sort of that trip. So a couple of things which to bring forward. So lions, incredibly lazy. If you ever run into a lion in the wild, yeah, fine, it's probably asleep. Just be quiet and walk away. It'll probably be all right. Yeah, they sleep for up to 23 hours a day. Those things are lazy.
Wow.
So yeah, they are incredibly lazy. Tigers, I really like. Tigers have they're the only ones that have a non-threatening verbalization. So they make like a chuff noise, which is like a sort of noise, which is a non-threatening verbalization. So it got to the point they had a pair of white tigers called Bonnie and Clyde, and you could go for a walk down the fence and they'd come for a walk with you, and you'd be able to make a chuff noise, and they would chuff at you back as if to kind of grumble about how your day was as you took these lions for a walk. And then when turned on some taps so that you had water jets flowing around that used to play, and it was a really good fun sort of experience knocking around doing that sort of thing for 3 weeks. The ones I don't like are jaguars. Jaguars are like bodybuilders on steroids. Those things are just aggressive. When they get your arm, when they pull at your arm, it's less pulling your arm off than pulling your collarbone and lungs out. Their pull force is about a ton. So they can make a mess of you quite quickly.
Yeah.
And anything that hunts caiman for a living is probably a bit tough. But yeah, those things are strong. Yeah. Of all the things that if it ever got out, it was the jaguars that I didn't want to go near.
Yeah.
But it was good fun. So I had a couple of sort of different responsibilities as a volunteer there. So doing tours and guiding people around. But it was also a certain amount of care for the animals as well. So I had, at one point, 9 lion cubs to look after, who were between sort of like 7 and 8 weeks old when I got there. And you had to learn a few things quite quickly. Bottle feeding the lion cubs is a hilarious experience. Lions, perhaps unsurprisingly, have no sense of a queuing system. So if you turn up...
Why ever not? No.
Yeah. Just one of those things you'd expect, right? So all 9 lion cubs want feeding at the same time. And if there's only 2 of you feeding, that's kind of all right, because you're like 4 or 5 each. If there's only you have to kind of be able to hold bottles between your legs, between your knees, multiple in hands, and try and feed multiple lion cubs all at the same time, which is an experience. The other thing that's quite entertaining from the bottle feeding side was if we ever had any left over, so the lions got full, we'd sort of take the bottles out into the main park with all the bigger enclosures, and all the adult lions would absolutely go mental if they saw a bottle and would try and come up to the fences so that we would try and feed, a fully grown male lion, big mane, big white lion, feeding that with a bottle, which is some of the more bizarre photos I've got. And it's the complete weirdness of giving a full-grown male lion a scratch behind the ears is a bit weird. But yeah, thoroughly entertaining experience running around doing that. We had a couple of different entertaining experiences while we were there. We had a meerkat that was sort of given into the wildlife centre that we had in an enclosure. Meerkat seemed to be quite happy, but we attempted to release the meerkat back into the wild. After 45 minutes, what we'd achieved is the meerkat had basically been out for a bit of a walk and wanted to come home with us. So we ended up bringing the meerkat back. It turns out an expert in meerkats came around about 3 weeks after I left and went, "Oh, your meerkat's really happy." So they ended up getting it a mate and it stayed there.
That's nice.
Fine, yeah. Meerkat was living its best life. It just didn't want to go out into the savannah. It's much happier with us. So yes, that was 45 minutes of my life taking a meerkat for a walk, which is
things you never thought you'd say. Yeah.
There was many different things. The whole experience was a bit odd because the point at which the lion cubs were transitioning onto meat from milk, I have to say, is the most horrific smell I've ever faced in my life. With those things going for that, which is pretty bad. All the meat that we used to feed to the animals was donated. Mm-hmm. So sort of beef cattle country was around there. So if a cow died, somebody would call and the guys would go out, pick up the dead carcass, come back, butcher it, and then we'd feed it to the animals. So I developed quite a knack for throwing cow legs over fences,
as you do,
which is a skill set I never thought that I'd have to develop. But there you go, it's one of the ones. I can also throw a dead chicken with quite a high degree of accuracy now as well, for feeding lions and tigers, which is again a skill I wasn't expecting to develop.
It might come into play again. Might be of use to you. I don't know if the apocalypse comes. I don't know. Like,
who knows? Who knows? We had the possibly the most unnerving sort of experience in terms of going with it. They had tigers that were a breeding cub pair, and they had 3 cubs, but it turns out the male was eating most of the food that we were throwing in. So the decision came to we're actually going to have to separate the male out. So I naturally asked, how are we doing that then? It was like, one of the guys comes up with a tranquilizer gun and we trank the tiger and then we move the tiger. Like, cool, fine. So we're there. So the guy comes out, tranquilizes the tiger. Excellent. I then asked the next question of, how do we get the tiger out of the enclosure? It was like, glad you asked. Come with us. At which point we're on the back of a flatbed into the enclosure. Someone's in with a tractor as well to try and keep the other tigers away.
Yeah.
As we then go and roll this 300-kilo tiger into this cargo net and lift the 300-kilo tiger up and put it on the back of the flatbed truck. Everybody gets on the flatbed, and then the flatbed drives out of the enclosure with us rattling around on it. the tiger had a bag on its head, so I just asked at the time, what's the bag for? And then the answer comes of, well, we use a very light tranquilizer because it's best for the animal. I'm like, okay, yeah. So if if the bag falls off and it starts to be able to focus, it can bring itself round. And this is explained to me as I'm on the back of the truck. I'm between the tiger's paws at this point.
Yeah.
Giving the tiger a bit of a stroke. I'm like, oh, this is exciting.
Oh.
So we then get into this other enclosure, lift the tiger off onto the ground, everybody back onto the truck, away as quick as possible. Somebody gets the bag off, jumps onto the back, get off and get out. So yeah, that was a bit of an experience of just going with it and see what we can do. So yeah, a bit of a weird one. The last thing I'll relate is the most ridiculous thing that I think I've ever done, which is bottle feeding the lion cubs. So they really like the milk mixture. It's a milk and egg mixture. We had some chickens, so we got the eggs from the chickens and made up the mixtures and feed them to the lion cubs. But they really like it. So they inhale, they guzzle this stuff down. But as with all animals that are bottle fed, they suck and they take all the milk mixture down, but they take a lot of air in as well. So they actually inflate up like little footballs. And the bizarrest experience I've ever had is hinged at the hips, bent over, burping lion cubs is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever done. As you're just sat there gently tapping this poor little lion cub that's the shape of a football until it gives the biggest belch in the world and just deflates.
Oh my goodness.
Mouthful of breath, which is awful, especially when they're just onto it was awful. But yeah, and it's just that moment of speaking to one of the other volunteers there as we're hinged over, burping lion cubs. It's like,
for them
this is not how I expected my Christmas day to be going, but okay, sure.
All right. They did not cover that in The Lion King.
No.
But the thought of like these lion cubs deflating feels very Disney, like animation-esque, doesn't it? Like some kind of like, yeah. It was
a very bizarre experience, but yeah, just lots of gentle tapping and then followed by a blurp. Yeah, it was fun and exciting time.
Yeah.
Good 3 weeks.
What an experience. I mean, wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. I am so interested to see how this is going to come back to systems engineering. So from that majestic big cat experience, Tim, what valuable systems engineering lesson did you learn?
So there's a couple of different things. One of them's like fundamentals. So understanding what the fundamentals of what you're doing are, be it engineering discipline, writing minutes, taking minutes, recording decisions, going through and checking, have we actually done a stakeholder analysis? Is that valid? Revalidating our assumptions, right? The fundamentals that we do are applicable no matter which weird-ass situation you find yourself in, right? Running around looking after the lions and our lion cubs, it was pure fundamentals. We're bottle feeding something, it will need burping afterwards. Hadn't twigged that I'm going to spend some of my Christmas day bent over burping lion cubs. But, fundamentals, it's there, right? Maybe should have thought about it and understood. But the lesson from that is really a kind of, those fundamentals are fundamental, they are transferable. So even if you end up using them in a very weird situation, there's an awful lot of fundamentals that you can come and apply. Yeah. It's a bit of an extreme example, but it is one of those fundamentals of transferable skills. So yeah, there's that sort of element from it in the sort of system engineering domain. There's also the being able to take on board new information and understand and then evaluate it. Talking confidently about all different sort of 5 of the big cats for an hour and a half on a tour. Couple of different sheets of prep and a bit of learning and a bit of asking questions. I think I learned more by being naturally inquisitive about the animals and asking people and finding out more to be able to give people more and more information and more experiences. So there's that kind of fundamentals and being inquisitive. There's an awful lot of that we need to do in system engineering as we go through. I think the the other sort of fundamental, which I'll bring through, which does relate back to another little bit of a story, is looking after your friends, right? Looking after your team, making sure everything's all right. Everybody knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of occasions where we had to go in with some slightly older lions, whose instincts are starting to kick in, which meant that it was a good briefing before we did it. Well, that sounds like developing a plan.
Yeah.
We then went and executed the plan. Went in and went, right, well, we're going to go do this. It's all fine. If you see a lion coming behind you, everybody turn and face it. Make sure that none of the lions get behind you. Mm-hmm. And then debrief afterwards once we've done it. What went well? What should we learn? Well, that kind of sounds like some of the retrospectives and review stuff we do. Mm. So it was very much a fundamentals process for doing that. There was an occasion where a friend of mine went in to take some photos with some slightly older lion cubs, not like fully grown or anything. They were 6 to 9 months old, and she went in to, take photos. We noticed some of the lions were trying to start to get behind her. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go in. So went into the enclosure, stood sort of behind her, made sure that everything was fine. And then it was like, oh, we probably should think about leaving at this point because we've been in here a bit, so we're exiting. So it's like, right, well, we've made some good decisions now. I'm not sure that going in was the best decision, but we've made some good decisions. And then we're sort of leaving, and we get to the door to come out. Now, these were only slightly older than the ones that we'd been sort of hand rearing and playing with a lot. So one of the lions wanted its head rubbed. So a friendly gesture is you rub your head against it. So to get the one lion cub out of the way, a friend of mine has to pick up this lion cub, give it a bit of a cuddle, rub its head so it was happy, put down, leave us alone. That did leave me with some of the slightly more aggressive ones. So whilst my friend, who is in basically, short shorts and a strappy top, is giving a bit of a lion, a bit of a cuddle, idyllic situation. Yeah. I'm on the other side. I've got a lion pulling down on the bottom of my jeans as they're biting into the jeans material to pull off. I've got another one pulling a sleeve because I'm quite fair, so I'm wearing long sleeve tops because of the sun. There's one pulling away. I'm cuffing another one across the back of the head to try and get it off. And a fourth one actually bit me on the bicep. So I have a little bit of a scar from a lion bite on the bicep. So we eventually batted all this off when we got out. And kind of we showed it, and my friend just turned around and went, oh, that all went fine. There was no problems at all. At which point I've got holes in my clothes and I'm bleeding down my arm. Sometimes people have different views on events. And we come back to a lot of what we do with the systems engineering is around that as well. Yeah. Sometimes different views on what happened. So we did the quick review afterwards of I'm bleeding and I've been bitten, and we decided that perhaps the event didn't go as well as it could have done. So yeah, bit of a retrospective approach to that. So yeah, the transferability of fundamentals you learn into weird ass situations is what I'd take from that.
Yes, to bring this away from you have a scar from a lion bite, be like, I should have seen the other guy, but
I'm a much more rock and roll person than I appear.
I find that is the way with lots of us in systems engineering. Okay, yeah, transferable skills, yes. And actually, we've seen from your explanation or your introduction of your career, systems engineering through all those different industries, all the different technical contexts, all these things apply. You can take them anywhere. It's one of the joys of being a systems engineer, is it not?
Very much so. I've certainly enjoyed it, and I've built up my repertoire of knowledge and understanding, and how to apply those skills in different areas in different ways. Mm-hmm. So fast-moving consumer goods at Dyson is very different to designing, aircraft cockpits. Mm-hmm. Very different skill. Yeah. But fundamentals are the same. There's an awful lot that's transferable.
Yeah. All the good systems engineering, the activities that we do, the structure we put in, tailored sensibly, but the principles are the same, the fundamentals are the same. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Oh my goodness, I've been on the edge of... I can't believe this. I think this is one of the like you say, most ridiculous things, some of the experiences that you had, but wonderful. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing them with us and for your valuable lessons. Listeners, if you'd like to get involved, if you think you can top lions, if you think you've got something that can top even that, you can get in touch with us at rabbits@scarecrowconsultants.co.uk. Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
No worries.
Hope to see
Been a pleasure.
Hope to see you again soon. And listeners, we'll see you next time.